Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Skull Session Recruiting Podcast here at BuckeyeHuddle.com. I am Mark Givler, Juck Milletti with me. Signing day recruiting coverage continues here. The Buckeyes have signed elite safety Blaine Bradford out of Baton Rouge Catholic in Louisiana. Yes, they have pulled a kid from a five-star caliber prospect from Baton Rouge, Louisiana to Columbus. No Lane Kiffin. It's not going to happen for you at the very end. He's staying with the Buckeyes. Huge signing for Ohio State. Juck, this, it's almost miraculous when you look back a year ago and say they're going to do this. He's going to stick with, let's face it, fairly low drama, pretty much 95% of the drama down the last couple months of this was media creation. It wasn't anything the kid was saying or doing.
Total nonsense. Yeah.
And then you're going to get Kiffin at the end, and the program's going to be energized, and Brian Kelly's gone, and no one likes Brian Kelly because he's just a miserable human. But they're going to get him now because Kiffin's here, and the program's going to be back on track. And he still says no. His brother, LSU, this is all-time great recruiting job, I think, by Ohio State. One of the best recruiting jobs I think I've seen by Ohio State is on this kid, and this kid's a unicorn in terms of his attitude.
I am with you, Mark. And this was when we looked at the safeties that were on the board in this class, as we were kind of covering this here in the beginning, I didn't even really consider him an option. I didn't consider him an option because it was just like, well, this one's clearly too good to be true. So I'm not going to waste my time talking about it because it's a kid literally at Catholic high school in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Not like in Louisiana, but in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, whose big brother, who he loves, and they're very close, plays at LSU. What a ridiculous thing to even think of. That you could like the chutzpah, honestly, to even attempt to pull this kid out of there. I thought Guerrero was nuts. I thought he was nuts. I don't know why you're wasting your time, pal.
You're going to lose all these other targets chasing this kid. It's going to be like Urban Meyer with Deshaun Watson.
What are we doing here? You're wasting your time. And then it was just he's in the top three with LSU and Tech. Okay, LSU and Texas for the kid from LSU. And I'm still and then it came and it was you got to be kidding me. This surely won't last. And it wasn't until we saw him come up to Ohio State, Mark, the pictures of him at Ohio State, the look on his face. And I was like, wow, this dude loves Ohio State. And every time he visited, he had that same look on his face. This is where I want to be. It was transparent as heck. And that's why I love him. I love him. This is an out-of-stater that I love. He's my favorite player in his class because of that. And obviously, he's an animal on the field. But he's so cool, too, man. This cat he's the dude. He's going to be a real one.
I still didn't believe him. I went down to the high school. I took my old behind down to Baton Rouge and went to his high school and talked to him for, probably 20, 30 minutes. And we did a 10, 12-minute interview. It was
Mark,
a great
by the
interview.
way, before you go any further, your interview was hysterical. It was hysterical. I've never seen a single recruiting person talk to a kid like you were all right, come on. Tell me the truth here. What's going on?
Yeah. I told dude, I'm going to put you on the spot. I did give him a little bit of a heads up. I'm going to put you on the spot. Don't think I'm going to
It was awesome.
And I left that conversation, not just on camera, but talking to him off camera. I left that conversation thinking, my goodness, they may actually do this. This is not going to be, Naeem offered as soon as he committed. I said, I don't think he's going to sign here. You guys get excited about it now if you want, but this is going to be all the way until signing day is going to be drama, drama, drama. And I left my interview with Blaine and my sit down with Blaine and just hanging around the school all afternoon, feeling a different feeling than I felt. And I had done the same thing with Alford the year before. I had went to Alabama to go spend time with Naeem, and I didn't leave that with a particularly I wasn't more convinced leaving that than I was before. I still was skeptical. Nothing he did or said specifically. It was a vibe that just, was still going to be really tough for them to sign him. And I got a different vibe from Blaine. And I even asked him, like, why are you, I've heard a lot of kids say what you're saying, but like, why are we to believe that, basically? And he looked me like dead in the eyes. He said, I keep my promises. I was like,
it felt to me from your interviews, Mark, and you tell me if I'm wrong, like Blaine just had a different level of maturity. He just really felt like an older kid when he was talking to you about this.
Yeah, he did. Very mature. He's got a seriousness to him that reminds me of Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs was very serious as a recruit and pretty matter of fact, and almost like it wasn't naive. It was more maturity than being naive, but like it was almost a thing of like, I don't have time for the games. So like, I'm not going to play the game with you as the interviewer. I'm just going to tell you what I really think, which is unusual.
Right.
And so it's hard to weed that out sometimes when you're like, okay, I've had a lot of kids say these things, but like there was a vibe from Blaine that I got that like he truly meant that. And then you've got dad on social media, like, my son's going to Ohio State. This is best for him. It was very like supportive of the decision. It wasn't like wanting his kids to play together at LSU or selfishly wanting them to stay close to home. Or there was a lot of things as things progressed into the spring and into the early summer where I'm like, and then he kept coming back for visits, and I don't know. Clearly this was what he wanted to do, and I applaud him for making his own decision and sticking with it. I think he's going to be a star at Ohio State. I can tell you this: Ohio State thinks he's the best high school safety in the country. We'll see if they're right. I think their evaluations have been pretty good recently, but they feel that this kid's special, and let's throw up a little film here, and you can kind of talk us through what you like about Blaine Bradford, the football player, Chuck.
When we talk about Caden Gephardt, I mean, it's really a player in a similar mold that he's a production machine. He's an absolute hammer, a stat stuffer, but everything is just a little more juiced up. He's just faster. He triggers more. I mean, like, he's just elite as an athlete on top of all the instinctual things and the maturity and the quick play diagnosis. And it's clear that he absolutely loves the contact, which, you love to see from a safety. He's an intimidator. He's a mauler. He's a masher. He's Chuck Cecil. He's Ronnie Lott. He's that kind of dude reincarnated, and you just love that. But honestly, everything about this guy says superstar in his future, and I don't see the sky's the limit for him with the maturity level. Working with Matt Guerrieri, I just see this guy as being the next big time safety at Ohio State if Fahim Delane doesn't beat him to it. Which, by the way, we're talking about two. Ohio State goes back to back with their number one target at safety with Fahim Delane and Blaine Bradford, which is saying a ton for Matt Guerrieri and what they're doing back there. But Blaine's just an all-out dude, man. You see the speed here is just ridiculous. And when he comes with bad intentions.
Yeah, as a very much
backpedal, Mark. My gosh, dude.
Yeah. Yes. As maybe the head of the Fahim Delane fan club, I'm going to say Fahim Delane's going to make a really big impact next year. But Blaine Bradford has some tools that are reminiscent of Caleb Downs. And I think maybe the most important tool he has that's reminiscent of Caleb Downs is his mind. I do think this is a kid with the football instincts and the general demeanor and general just overall intelligence to be a chess piece for Matt Patricia, to learn how to do different roles, different things in the secondary. Yes, he'll be able to blitz. He'll be able to play in the box. I think he's a bigger, more physical player than Caleb Downs was coming out of high school. Does he run quite as well as Caleb? No, but he runs more than well enough. Caleb's like Ed Reed, like almost in the way he can run out there. But Blaine has a lot of those similar qualities to him. And again, just a ferocious hitter and a really instinctual, smart, mature football player. And so I think they're going to put a lot on his plate. Maybe not day one. Day one, they're probably going to let him learn one thing and learn a position. But I think, again, what you're talking about, a kid who by the time he leaves Ohio State could be one of those guys where you just week to week, you're not really sure where he's going to line up. He may play Mike linebacker one week. He may come off the edge and blitz a lot one week. He may play nickel one week. He may play more of a deep safety role one week. He has that type of physical ability with that type of mind for the game and just overall just general intelligence. So this is an absolute like gem steal of a signing for Ohio State. I'm trying to. It's like, to me, this is as big. I'm going back a little bit, but it was such a big deal when Urban Meyer got Von Bell. And I think this is similar to that in terms of the scale of, wow, they actually pulled this off. But I think Blaine actually arrives in Columbus, and Von, by Von's, the end of his true freshman year, was a starter. I mean, he started that Orange Bowl game against Clemson. But I think Blaine even comes a little more physically ready. Von was a skinny little guy coming out of high school. Blaine is, over 200 pounds right now. I think he's going to be physically ready to be a part of a rotation back there. And again, if we're sitting here talking about rotating a guy like Fahim Delane and Blaine Bradford, if we're talking about rotating those guys in with veterans, and you've got Jalen McClain back there as your Jordan Fuller center fielder, last line of defense. Losing Caleb Downs, you're not going to upgrade, but I don't think safety is going to be an issue next year. I think they're very well restocked there.
I'm with you, man. And as far as what this commitment means, this recruitment, I mean, it is just like the full on, like we have officially seen. And in my opinion, it was always Ohio and Louisiana, because they were so uniquely positioned with the state school that everybody loves, the one place that both have, pretty much similar talent, the hardest to pull from out-of-staters. And as we've seen more and more Ohio State, Ohio kids receptive to leaving, we're seeing it out of Louisiana as well. And I know that there's a lot of Ohio State fans who, furious when we see these Ohio kids recently leaving the state. It's not just us, man. It's Louisiana too, which was also the hardest place to poll. And we saw it last year. Now we're seeing it again with Blaine Bradford. But the first Louisiana prospect since Johnny Wells or Nader Abdullah to come up to Ohio State, and you end up getting two from Louisiana in this class, 3 from Alabama in the last 2 cycles now. It's a different world. And this one in particular, like this was the final one. We got Zion and Turbo from Alabama last cycle, and then it was still like, well, there's still Louisiana, and now it's like, all right, Louisiana conquered as well. The Buckeyes can officially go plant their flag anywhere in the country. There's nowhere that's off limits now, and that is just a wild feeling.
It's the feeling when you talk about this on, like, when I do my Southern swing in the spring, and it's like first time ever. First time ever doing Alabama a couple of years ago. Last year was our first ever. We had never been to Baton Rouge.
You were in Mississippi too, weren't you?
We were in Mississippi for Braylon Womack, but we had made one stop in Mississippi in like the 10, 12 years I've been doing it. It was for Cam Akers. It was actually our first Mississippi high school, though. Cam Akers invited us to his house on a Saturday to do the interview. But like, we briefly been through New Orleans once for Jakeem Stewart, but mostly our trips to New Orleans were to go through there to get to Houston. It wasn't, so we had never even been up to Baton Rouge, and just checking new places off the list here the last couple of years in the Deep South, places we never thought Ohio State could have success in, and they are now. And it's become such a national brand, and recruiting's become such a national deal for a lot of schools now, and NIL is not going to slow that down by any stretch. So, it's a whole new world, but this is enormous. This will be a great pickup. This will be a guy who does, I think, get to play a little bit early. There's not a ton of guys in this class. Again, not because of the talent in this class, more so, but because of the talent in this true freshman class right now at Ohio State, where all those guys are already playing and they're going to block some younger guys next year. But I think Blaine Bradford's one who will get out there and get some work in early for the Buckeyes. So, yep, huge signing for Ohio State. The stress, if anyone's stressed out about this, it's over. It's all over now. He is signed, and he'll be up here very shortly and be in uniform. So, thanks, everyone, again. We're going to keep rolling these out. We got a bunch more coming here on signing day, and then we'll have more throughout the next 2 weeks, kind of profiling each player who signs with Ohio State in this 2026 recruiting class. Thanks again for watching. Thanks again for listening. We'll be right back here with another one.